Hello and welcome to the Ultimate Venomancer Guide, part 2 of 2, aka I picked Jungle Veno in solo rank so that you don't have to, or maybe you will want to after you see this, we'll see. As always, check the description for timestamps of what this video covers and when. So yes, I did finally do it. It's been probably, I don't know, a year and a half since I've played Veno Jungle in a solo rank game. But I found the perfect excuse to do it in this game. And we will talk about that first, which will be drafting. Why did I choose to go Jungle Veno in this game? Drafting is really the first thing chronologically that needs to happen when playing any hero, right? You have to understand what can you counter, what are you countered by, what sort of plays do you need to do, or items do you need to build to either compensate for weaknesses or exacerbate on your own strengths. So instead of just listing out heroes that you counter and that counter you, I'm going to try to have us think critically here and talk about instead traits that Veno likes to see and then doesn't like to see. So what don't you want to see on Veno? You don't want to see heroes with purges. That should be obvious because your Venomous Scale and your Poison Sting are both completely dispellable. So they'll just be removed very simply by, for example, Juggernaut in this game. PL in this game, they completely get rid of those spells. You don't want to see heroes that don't have to go into the fight. So Sniper, talking about heroes in this game, you don't want that because you're literally the slowest hero in the game with no mobility in your kit at all, and all of your spells require you to be relatively close to somebody. So if you're a Tinker or a Sniper or somebody who doesn't have to enter the fight whatsoever, it can be really tough to hit your spells as Veno, and then obviously you're not very good if you're not hitting any spells. You don't want to see heroes that have strong sustain, or sustain if you will. Burst heals every so often, that's completely fine, but your damage is completely over time and very slow, relatively speaking. So lifesteal, that's really the big counter. So if you have built-in lifesteal to your kit, you can be stealing throughout the fight and not having to really deal immensely with this damage over time because you're also healing over time. So that would include heroes like Lifestealer, Legion Commander, and actually like a Broodmother, because she's got a lot of lifesteal on her ulti, and she also heals in her web very fast. You hate to see that. She's also very fast, to the point that slowing her is not super good. Arc Warden is not that surprisingly the worst matchup according to Dota Buff in the entire game for Venomancer. That's because he doesn't have to go into the fight. He's got a whole clone that you're terrible at dealing with, because damage over time, you want burst for that clone. You want to be able to farm that clone. It's worth 240 golden experience. Crazy profitable, but you can really never ever kill it as Veno because your damage is so damn slow. You're a ranged hero with no mobility, so it's hard to get inside of his bubble. And there's just a whole bunch of shit that he can throw out without having to commit his real hero. That is a huge issue for you. The second worst, by practically nothing, not to my surprise at all, I would have guessed this, is Phantom Lancer. Phantom Lancer, who is in this game, is the reason ultimately why I chose to go jungle. The hero has a dispel, an incredibly easy to use dispel, no less. Not so much like Naga Siren's Mirror Image is at least a long cooldown. Lifestealer's Rage is kind of a big commitment. If he just uses Rage only to deal with the Veno, maybe your teammates can stun him after or something like that. But PL's is extremely low commitment. He also has a mobility spell in Phantom Rush that is going to completely ignore your slow and buff his damage against you. Things like Tinker, things that don't 100% fit the criteria that you don't like to see either, as Nature's Prophet. This is because you usually are not going to have a way to deal with Sprout. You can build Force Staff, and Force Staff is pretty popular on this hero, but I'm not really a big fan. It's definitely I put it in the build in part 1. You can see that build, and that'll of course be linked as well. It is in the situational items, but I'm not really a big Force Staff fan on Veno. The item certainly has been nerfed a lot, and you're not buying any cast range on this hero, so it's really only exclusively for you when you buy it. which is fine, and you might need to do it if it's against a Nature's Prophet. He also has a built-in TP. You hate seeing TPs because you have no ways to cancel them, and again, you do damage super slowly, so often people have a lot of time to teleport out. Tinker, also, TPing constantly, and he does not have to be in the fight at all, super far away. So these are the type Storm, and lastly Storm. Slowing Storm is almost completely useless. You can even do things like dodge ticks of damage with his ultimate. It's a very, very bad matchup. Alright, now what are traits that you want to see in your enemies? What are you hoping to see? Well, we're hoping to see people that have to hard commit and rely on their move speed immensely. So for example, in this game, a Leshrac relies on being fast, and he has no mobility in his kit. He's what I'm going to call a one-and-done hero, which is what you counter as Venomancer. So like Outworld Devourer, Keeper of the Light to some extent. You just kind of walk in, cast your spells, hit, and that's it. You're almost never going to have heal on these types of heroes. If you hit an OD with all your spells, well, you better hope that no one else on your team hits him even like once, because kind of just dying at that point. Because remember, you never have to man fight as Venomancer. You just kind of cast your spells and leave. So the OD, yeah, he'll obviously obliterate you in a man fight, but who said you had to man fight him? Just hit your spells and leave. Disarm him with your halberd. Use blade mail so he can't ulti you, or maybe if you can't disarm him for whatever reason, use the blade mail so he can't hit you, and just leave. Just leave, hit the Lesh, leave, and that's it. Like, if he wants to keep chasing and keep going in, not only is he going to be slowed, but he's going to be dying that whole time. And these heroes never have heal built into their kit, on top of being inherently a bit low HP. You're going to want heroes that rely heavily on Blink Daggers as well. So your axes, and Blink Dagger is kind of not very popular right now, so there's not there used to be a ton of Blink builders, right? But there's really not that many anymore. Like in this game, there's going to be 0 Blink Daggers, right? You used to see at least, 2 or 3 every single game. But still, if you see a Blink Dagger buyer like your Sand King and your Axe, you're going to really have a good time, because you're going to cancel that Blink with Plague Wards very often. And even if you don't, you're going to practically guarantee that they get off 1 Blink a game, or 1 Blink a fight, because they're going to be canceled. They're going to be canceled completely by the ulti for 18 plus seconds, Plague Wards. Yeah, you're getting off 1 Blink tops when there's a Veno in the game, and that is actually a big deal. Like, it's not hard to get off 2, sometimes 3 blinks in a fight, right? Because usually you're initiating with the first one, then 15 seconds later, fight's probably still happening, you get off a second one, and fights last 30 seconds. That's very possible. It's very possible to get off 3 blinks in one fight, but not when there's a Veno in the game. He's going to guarantee that you're getting off 1 blink tops. So, who hates to see Venomancer? Probably the number one is TA. TA not only relies on her move speed, not only relies on Blink Dagger, but she also relies on her Refraction, which is blocking instances of damage. Venomancer has a shit ton of instances of damage. Every spell that he does is an instant of damage, every second, and every Plague Ward hit. So you're melting her Refraction charges, you're kiting her out, you're buying items like Halberd that she hates to see. So TA hates you, Axe, Dragon Knight hates you because he relies on regen and he's extremely kiteable. Void Spirit is one that I haven't heard people talk about very much, probably because he's kind of new. But I have played this matchup several times, and you destroy Void Spirit completely. It's very hard to dodge Gale with Dissimilate. It's definitely humanly possible, no doubt, but you don't even want to take Dissimilate on Void Spirit. And it's kind of disastrous, frankly, if you Gale and then he Dissimulates after. Maybe like a Puck phase-shifting Queen of Pain Scream. It's like you get hit by it and then you do it after. Well, on Puck, whatever, it costs 0 mana and it's like 6-second cooldown. On Void Spirit, you're using mana that you did not want to use, and it's just pretty sad. Physical damage block, you couldn't care less almost from his Resonant Pulse. Wow, you don't care. Aether Remnant, you also really don't care. That's another thing that Veno does pretty well against, is actually stuns. That's not something you might expect me to say, but you like playing against stuns as Veno. You don't like playing against annoying shit that you have to walk through, as we talked about, like from Tinker and Arc Warden and Sniper. You're already so slow, so you're spending a really long time walking through area of denial spells. However, stuns, whatever. I mean, we're a prime halberd builder, so you have status resistance. You're an offlaner, so whatever. It's your job to tank anyway. Or even if you're not offlane, you're kind of like effectively offlane. You're like a core hero, even if you're jungling. Whatever, go ahead, let me take it, and then there's that very high risk from the enemy team that if they don't kill you in their stun, that you're getting off a 4-man Poison Nova, and they're in trouble at that point. You're just very slow, so it's like, whatever, man, I was hardly walking to begin with, so who cares if I'm stunned, right? Whereas if you have to walk through Shrapnel, you're spending a very long time through that, and that, on the other hand, is annoying. You can deal very well with Ursa. You destroy Ursa. That hero relies 100% on his move speed. Also used to be a very common Blink builder. Not really anymore. You still see it sometimes, but hero lives off his move speed and you just completely kite him. The lane is really sad for him as well because Ursa relies on being strong in lane, and he is not strong in lane against the Venomancer. Something that I was a little surprised to see when doing my research for this was that Keeper of the Light is one of your best matchups. I definitely thought it was really good. It's part of the reason I picked Veno in this game, even though I hadn't seen their carries, because there's a Leshrac and a Keeper of the Light. He does fit into that criteria, like I said, kind of one and done. Just cast his spells once and then walk away. He's a very low HP hero, that's for sure, so I definitely see it. I just didn't really predict it. I understand why it is, though. You do pretty good against Bristleback, because that hero relies a lot on regeneration and his move speed. And then one that I disagree with completely from the Dotable stats is Ember Spirit. Ember Spirit destroys Venomancer on top of just being an overpowered hero right now in general. Flame Guard is a huge fucking issue because you will break Flame Guard, sure, but it's not until after it does all its damage to you, because you break it so slowly. His move speed is not that important. He's just kiting you out with remnants anyway. Any good Ember Spirit is already having remnants out, so the fact that you slow the new ones that he's deploying should almost never be relevant in a game. It's a very, very bad matchup for you. He's got extremely high damage, and he isn't really in the fight most of the time. He's usually just sleight of fisting and ulting you around. It's very bad for you. And then one that you might not have predicted is Monkey King. Monkey King is very bad against Venomancer. Monkey King relies hugely on his move speed in the laning stage, which is when he's supposed to be extremely strong in the laning stage. Not against Veno. You're a ranged hero that kites. Well, later on you got your ulti, you got your tree dance, so that should solve it, right? No, using Tree Dance against Veno is very hard, because if you've been hit in the last 3 seconds, you can't use it. So, Plague Wards, your ulti, everything, practically, is stopping him from hopping on a tree. So, it's very, 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 very bad for Monkey. And also, Monkey is a hero with a ton of armor, and he does have lifesteal, but that lifesteal comes from hitting people, and you stop him from hitting people, and the armor, who cares? We're an all magical hero anyway. So another tip with drafting Veno is beg to be 4th pick if you're trying to play offlane. If you pick 3rd, which would be normal because it goes support, offlane, carry, middle usually, you will 100% see one of the big 5, if you will. The big 5 are the carries that everyone will pick when they see Veno, and that is Lifestealer, Juggernaut, PL, Slark, and Naga Siren. You can beat Lifestealer and Naga Siren, but the other 3 are pretty much a guaranteed loss in the lane, at least. And PL is the best of them all, and that is what my opponent opted to go this game, and that is why I said, let's just jungle Veno. So, although it is really nice to have 4th pick, I don't think you will have to. Your teammates also probably won't give it to you. So, you know, go ahead, run a jungle if you see one of the big 5 and you feel like your support also won't match up well either. Let me hit you with some rapid fire tips on how to execute Veno jungle. On Radiant, we're always starting in the triangle. And we're always going to make our way over to this dire quadrangle, I'll call it. Because you can clear all 4 camps in a minute. Or if you can't, you can stack, of course, the ones that you do not clear. If you're on Dire, you also start in the Dire quadrangle. In the game lead video, they say to start in the Dire triangle. This is very wrong in my opinion. And when I say opinion, I mean from my testing as well. If you spawn Prowlers as the first camp, there's a 25% chance your game is just over. Additionally, it's way too time consuming to clear the Ancients with level 1 wards. And the 2 camps you can clear are a little far apart, so much so that it's going to be difficult that when you have your Plague Wards in a central area, it's going to be very hard for them to actually realistically hit both camps as you draw them together. So this is always going to be the main area, is this Dire quadrangle. Now, what do you do when you get found out? When you get found out, you're going to move. Hopefully you don't get found out until at least level 3 Plague Wards, at which point you can go here and it's fine, and we'll farm the Ancients. If you get found out on Radiant, obviously we move to the Dire quadrangle, or we move to the Dire triangle. You don't want to farm the bottom half of the Radiant map. This is just way too hard and inefficient. Farming all 3 of these camps is not really possible with elevation changes and such. And then the Ancients are only close to one other camp, and that camp is not even that close, or it's equidistant to this camp, which is again not even that close. So this is the one area we do not want to ever jungle on Veno, unless it's, you know, last resort. Blightstone, do not upgrade this into Medallion. The item is just not great right now in general. You don't need the mana regen either. You're having more than enough from Spirit Vessel, and this is a better item for pushing. It's a much better item for pushing because it's gonna buff you and your Plague Ward's damage on the towers. So how do you take advantage of an easy matchup as a normal off-lane Venomancer? Right now we have Veno Rubik up against the Wraith King Grimstroke. That might sound like a decent lane to you, but really you should destroy that as the Venomancer Rubik. I got some questions. Why not start with Boots or Windlace because you're so slow? Like I said, I mean, what are you guys? Are you guys just that good? Are you guys last hitting with the 43 damage? I mean, yeah, and you're still just gonna be like the same speed as them almost. So they're still gonna be able to get in those hits on you. So you want to be able to trade as effectively as possible. Here is a situation where we want Gale first, so that we can cause a lot of damage. If this wasn't such an aggressive contest, then we would have gone Poison Sting because it doesn't cost any mana. And it lowers the effectiveness of their tangos. And boom. So we're going to find first blood thanks to the ward on the Rubik. And let's look at how we go about that, right? So we know he's in there because of the ward and he didn't go backwards, so where else could he be? But I'm not going to Gale early because I know where he is. I don't want to scare him away. I want to get as close as possible before we go on him. So boom, clean up an easy first blood. Pretty much any support in the game that you catch out on Rubik plus, well, Veno plus anything almost, should die. And the Wraith King does have insane damage, but it's okay to like lose the CS battle at level 1, but really again, look, just harass, harass, harass. How can he touch me? He can't touch me, so my CS should really take off as time goes on. Veno's abilities scale better than the average carries, in lane at least. And that's exactly what you do. This guy's pulling, you go on them. You hard commit when their support is pulling. This is very important. Listen to this part. Venomancer struggles against hard commits. If the enemy just wants to hard commit and fight through your damage over time, they might win if they're able to reach you and run you down. It's very likely that they'll win if they can reach you and run you down, which is a pretty big if, which is why Wraith King and Grimstroke is bad against us anyway. So, if they're outnumbered, he can't commit anyway either, because he's 2v1. There's like nothing he can do. He can run away, but he's running so slowly, and there's no way in hell that he can ever just trade back, because he's 2v1 at this point. That kind of goes for any off lane when the enemy is pulling. Try to punish the carry if you can. And guess what? He pulled again. He's dead. Kind of a rude tip from me. I realized that he's making a mistake by pulling there. I think the Wraith King was being triggered in all chats, so I kind of encourage the Wraith King to continue being triggered by tipping his support for pulling. And at this point, the Wraith King is going to retreat full jungle. So now that there's nobody in my lane, I'm telling my Rubik to please go away from me so I can get solo experience, as well as he can go do something actually useful instead of, you know, just hang out here where there's no one to lane against because we already won our lane so hard. And that's exactly what you want to see. This is so punishing now because TPs are 90 gold. And you just kind of rinse and repeat. And he actually TP'd back to his tower with hopes of getting experience. But at this point, I know I'm so strong. I know Wraith King has given up. So look, I am not afraid of the tower. I actually want to run past the tower so that I can farm the wave and just Venomous Gale it. So I'm just going to go straight up past the tower. And to be honest, that was completely on accident. This guy was pulling again, and I accidentally just hit him with Gale, and he's dead again. And this is how you push towers, right? You have horrible damage on the guy, sure, and I don't have Plague Wards. But if you're going to go this build, just walk past, Gale the wave, hit each creep once, cut it out, and it's dead. Let the creeps do the pushing for you. And I wanted to go because this was the catapult wave. They glyph it. What am I going to do? I'm going to run past, of course. Gale, hit every single creep once. And now at this point, I made their sniper come top. That's great. Their support sniper is up here top. That means that my bounty hunter carry gets a freer time, which apparently he was struggling kind of a lot. So that's good. I mean, that's fair. It's axe sniper. He should be struggling kind of, but that's something that I've done. I've created space for my team. I want to walk past the tower again, but now my creeps are dead to the ink, whatever the fuck. Stroke of Faith. And I've opted to take my ulti here because I'm getting the feeling that I'm going to have the chance to get a kill. And while the Plague Wards are great at pushing, sure, they don't help you win your lane typically. And yeah, that was so much damage that the Grim just dies in Fountain. And he did the right thing though. He eats his Fairy Fire. And then he buys a second one, trying to Fairy Fire again, but it does have a cooldown and he's not going to make it. So, again, you know, these are not noobs. These guys are playing pretty well. Okay, the pulls were a little newbie, I guess, but, you know, these guys know what they're doing. I'm going to go ahead and stack the jungle. You can jungle with Venomous Gale as well. Once you have high levels, you just stack and hit this. So, no matter what skill build you go, you can jungle. It's just, obviously, you can't jungle from level 1 with Gale or anything like that. So I take the enemy tier 1. And from there, we're going to just move in and out of the other lanes, try to take every tier 1. That's a big objective right now in the current patch because tier 2s are really, really strong. So I don't want to stick around maybe for the tier 2 in top lane because it's so damn difficult. And the tier 1s, however, did not receive any buffs except for maybe that like health regeneration under tower thing. That I guess kind of counts. Now for team fights. What are you going to do in a team fight as Veno? We're already down 3v5, but I know I'm strong, so I'm just going to go in. First thing first, hit the Gale. I know he's dead. It's important that you calculate for your damage over time. I know he's dead, so why hit him anymore? I did what I need to do, so let's just go ahead and leave. Now, my team is going to go ahead and dive, and you know what? Sure, this is a little sketchy, but sure, let's do it. I'm going to take care of the OD. In the end of the day, I did not really need to Gale him, but you know, it's an OD, he scares me, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do it anyway. I'm gonna bait the Wraith King because I'm like, hello bounty, what are you doing? Attack. And it works. He follows me. If I had just kited him to begin with, he might not have committed on me. And yeah, at this point, they're actually not that far behind. The rest of my team is actually not having a good game. And Wraith King recovers so fast in the jungle, but I've caused irreparable mental damage to the enemy team, and the axe abandons, and they lose. So. Or does he abandon next fight? Okay, he abandons next fight. Let's talk about the next team fight. All right, next team fight. So we're looking really tanky now. So we'll never be backing down from anything really. We find out a Wraith King. Get out the ult. Hit, 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 hit. Go in for my team, go in for my team. Try to sidestep the OD ulti. Works out. Vessel, everything I see. And now I'll kite out because I know my team is behind him. I don't need to man fight this guy. Obviously, OD does a lot of damage, and he abandons. It's over. Now, what do you do when everything just goes horribly wrong and you fail your lane miserably? So, on paper, our lane is not great, considering that theirs is Ogre Luna, which is a very strong lane, at least for a lane that cannot hard commit on them, whereas they can hard commit on us. Ogre is also a great meat shield against Veno with his amazing stats. He also ensures that you can't reach a ranged carry without eating a ton of right clicks from him. And the Luna will be beaming us the entire time. We also have no setup for arrow, so already this is looking like not an amazing lane. She does hit a great arrow. I wasn't ready. She arguably could have told me, or like maybe shouldn't have gone just yet, because she doesn't paint out until after it hits. And yep, at this point I'm gonna have to body block to make sure that she doesn't take too much damage, and we're just out to a bad start. Remember, level 1 Veno is not a lot of damage. He's about keeping damage away from him if you go Gale, and then just taking free hits. But we can't really do that against these heroes very well, so horrible start. Not well played by me for sure. Missing that Gale was costly, but you know, I got kind of baited with hitting that arrow, so of course I wanted to hit the Gale, because usually when you hit an arrow it's a pretty good start. But yeah, at this point I'm not even gonna, I bring out the salve of course because I'm gonna need it, but not even worth it because I'm out of mana, so I'm just gonna go home, which is already not amazing. And this just goes horribly. We hit some arrows, but Ogre is just way too much HP to go through if they just man up on us, and that's what they do. Like, they understand how to play this. Like, my Mirana wouldn't drop her salve when I asked her to, so then she was dead when I came back here, and yeah, this is just going really bad. So, but what do we know from jungling? We know that we can jungle, so I don't have wards yet. I'm going to go back one last time, get Plague Wards, and just head jungle for the rest of the game. I might even die one more time. That would be pathetic, honestly. But yeah, nobody's making you stay here. I do. Yeah, Luna ults me, I die one more time, and at this point I'm coming back only for jungle. Wait, what the fuck? Oh my god, what is wrong with me? Oh, yes, the ward. Mirana finds a ward, and we want to kill the ward, but I can't hit this ward because Ogre will just deny it if I hit it. So, like, I have to stay here, but she left when she discovered the ward, and yeah, it was, yeah. Really not good. Really not good. Okay, now, certainly, we will do nothing but jungle. And yeah, level 3 right now at 8.5 is really bad. The enemy offlaner is at 5.25. So, not good, but I'm going to recover very fast. I'm only going to show up if the wave is pushing into me and I don't see both of them, which we have at least a ward, so I have an idea that Luna is jungling now. Also, something the enemy did well to destroy us was they did not go greedy builds. We actually saw Ignite Max out of Ogre, which is by far your best ability, at least before you have multicast for killing people. And we saw Beam Max and not Moonglade's Max on Luna. So, smart, you know, smart by the enemy to shut me down at least. Now that they're showing in other places to go mess with my other lanes that we're doing fine, then I will go ahead and I'll push, try to take some heat off, and I'm actually going to end up getting the last hit on this tier 1. So my game is coming back very nicely. I actually am going to have net worth, you know, not that close, but like, you know, not as pathetic as it should be considering there was an LC. And we're not really the best at fighting with our skill build. We are perfectly fine though with our ulti, and we're good for taking tier 1s. That's fine, you know, I'll take 1-for-1s if it makes the enemy come to go deal with it, to get a little bit of space for the rest of the team. I think our team tried to fight a little bit too much. Again, this is not the fighting skill build, this is like the sieging skill build, and you're fighting by virtue of, you know, stacking these up and pressuring towers and getting a ton of vision so that you can approach the fight in the best way possible. But as far as actually like dealing damage, it's the worst. It is the worst option you have for dealing damage to heroes. So we're gonna go for a push because again I'm a Veno here. I went for a bracer instead of a windlace in this game because again I'm dying a lot, so I just wanted to be able to tank. I think my team could have hard committed here. I think maybe they underestimated the damage over time coming out of me because Ogre was literally one hit away and Queen of Pain was, you know, one spell away from dying as well. I've selected this fight to analyze because it's very bread and butter. It's how it's usually going to go for you as Veno. You're going to be pushing a lane, showing yourself. My team has smoked behind me and we're going to use the Mirana ultimate. I'm going to try to make it look not too suspicious by pushing out the wave. We come in. Again, we will never ever back, especially if our team is already in there before us. So great arrow by the Mirana helps us kill the LC before she even gets off duel. Net a great neutral item find on Veno to cancel those TPs like I just did there on the Ogre. And notice this, I used my Blade Mail early. In general, this is just a general Dota tip, use stuff early because you don't know what's going to happen. Are you a super genius? Do you see what my Blade Mail there does? So what it does is it's going to scare essentially the Queen of Pain from coming in, because like what other option does she have? I feel like she might come in to try to save her Luna, and she's like, oh shit, I can't ulti to push them back and just deal damage because he has used Blade Mail, and she blinks out, but that doesn't matter. Like, mobility spells are not really a counter to Veno. Like, as long as you hit them with your damage, well, they're still going to take it, no matter how far away they are from you. So the Queen of Pain is going to just die from poison, even though she's able to blink out. And we don't take any damage from her ultimate because I pop my Blade Mail early. If you hold on to it, especially in games where there's a ton of stuns, like this one, well, you might just never get it off. And if you hold on to your ultimate, you might just never get that off either when there's a lot of stuns. You don't know. You don't want to be that person who uses excuses like, I couldn't do this because I was stunned. Okay, is that really the first thing you should be saying? Maybe you should say, okay, I could have actually used it if I'd either positioned better or used it earlier. Most of the time, that is the real reason you didn't get anything off, and not just because, oh, I was stunned. Like here, I see they're gonna, I see him start an animation. I'm like, let's pop the Blade Mail because I think they might follow up. But I feel like my team kind of abandoned me there. I feel like they did not need to back. Like there was a sleep that could have been used on me and stuff, but they wanted to back. Whatever, so be it. It's kind of your, like I said, it's your job to go in there and just kamikaze. This concludes the Ultimate Venomancer Guide. This movie-long series that I set out to make. Sorry, this stuff is always way too freaking long. I cut it down too. That's the worst part. Is like I cut it down. It could have ended up being longer, but I have an idea for a miniature part 2.5. The first 2 people who ask me and are willing to play a solo rank game of Venomancer, I'll go ahead and I'll coach you through that, and we'll see how well you can apply those techniques. And as always, none of this will be cherry picked. So if they do horribly and that is what the video is, then so be it. I did do something like this in an earlier video where the first 5 people who asked I gave a replay analysis to. There's one guy that asked me that I never was really able to find or get a time with. So if you still watch these videos, let me know on Discord and I'll make sure you get that. So again, thank you so much for watching this. I appreciate it so much, and I am planning on making some more regular content in the future, so stay tuned for that. Maybe get a new mic. I'm shocked no one's complained about my mic yet. I don't think it's very good, but thanks so much, and hopefully you guys leave this video more toxic than you came here as.